Let's close at 5.
Yeah, I need to drop some off.
I'm sure if this goes to anybody over there, I can.
Supposed to go to the chief, but I don't know.
All right. Oh, but Kelly.
I'm sure I can give it to them, as long as I give it to them. It's
Right, 5.
Or.
Yeah, I'll take them down. I'll actually.
I told you. I want to be the last one. You're gonna be around.
Man, I thought I was the last one.
Yes.
I don't have a reason.
Nobody.
Hey, John. No reason.
What?
I know, just.
Page one.
Is this for? Yes. 2022.
Original copy, hard copy?
2022.
A file. Oh, I think
If it's notarized, do you have to have a hard copy?
it's. Sorry.
I've taken scanned copies.
Okay.
Just email it to me and I'll get it.
I'll bring
Yeah.
mine.
Red?
Dave.
Oh, the red.
Yeah, sure, so I.
You have the red?
Yeah, I guess
So,
I can fill mine out again.
Yeah. No.
Just throwing you under the bus. What's tonight's gonna be like? We're gonna get time.
Email
That one, take all.
Buddy.
I forgot it.
I pulled it.
Yeah, yeah. You forwarded it to Jerry.
Oh, you.
Not only get the day off, you should get a city vehicle to go down and do
It'll
it.
be
As long as you have
notarized.
no right. No, scan to me. And
Travel.
I'll send you Miss Betsy, I got it. I've taken them before. Nobody's.
I mean, that's essentially what you're doing.
I'll just print it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll just print it. And they'll scan it again. Right. They do, they scan them and put them in electronic.
They don't do the embossed notary.
No, they just, no, this.
I'm scrambling at the last minute.
She didn't even. You're gonna have to get that back. They forged it. That's probably Sessoms.
Hey.
This is their new design.
They didn't put the stamp on there.
Or listen to the commission that you hired.
3 years. But
I saw her stamp it. I'll take it back. I'll take it. No, I'll back. You sure?
I don't see it.
Why should it?
It's not invisible. Yeah, listen.
It's like you being.
I just saw her.
sign that. Oh.
I just didn't.
It's not here.
Doctor.
You wanna do this?
We better verify, we better audit that.
Yeah, there's someone else saying, hey, Doc. Yeah, it's 4 shots. Perfect. But that's.
I'll.
know it's different.
Saw her.
That's big.
I bet she just did.
Was distracted.
Yeah, I bet. You just-
And that one.
There he is.
Just plans.
Hey, you guys heard it recording this.
Him.
I'm gonna walk over. to the hall.
That environment.
Right there by. Turn right on. I don't know what's.
That should be, I mean, it should be.
What's somebody doing about that? Now I've got 2 in my house.
But it's not around it was. About.
Previously.
That sometimes you gotta make. Sometimes ain't an easy call.
There.
No.
Put this off.
The other one. Airport ladies, airport lady. This one. We'll finally get put in code. What's your background? How we get landscape. Pretty messy.
7 years coming, man. 7 years in the works. I guess.
They already got one, so they put it on.
So.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not.
And he was calling.
Created that. And then.
Calling saying I'm. Did you
you tell Congress I won't be there for me? You know, you're like, what do you do? Can't get there.
You're welcome.
The power of. You know. Managed labor. That's what I got.
That was a contract. I can't, I mean, I was thinking about that, but I think.
And it's good. It's really good.
I've never been.
Yeah, I'd go back.
The only thing I've heard about.
Right.
Yeah, so we did.
The life.
We were crying.
We were trying to.
9 months later.
We were trying to be halfway.
You're trying to.
Yeah. Street superintendent.
Chicken.
They fired a street.
How many people spoke?
And they cook
Like I'll go until. Not your project, man.
Sometimes.
The pumps don't always work.
Yeah, I'm usually at that.
Stop now. I want to call it down there. By the way, it's nice. They have a large selection of slushies. Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, yeah.
And she's Haley ready? Nine, you ready?
I believe so. All good to go on.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started this evening with the City of Centerton Planning Commission, January 17th, 2023 with a roll call.
Jeff Safar.
Here.
Joey Engel.
Here.
Devin Murphy.
Here.
Craig Langford.
Here.
Jerry Harris. John Fessums.
Here.
Ben Lewis.
Here.
Tony Davis. Frank Kubota.
Here. All right, first thing on the agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes from 1/3 of 2023.
John, I motion to approve the minutes from 1/3/23.
Joey, I second.
Motion and a second. Is there anyone that's opposed? All right, next is the ratification of the admin approvals. There's a track split 22-24 McDaniels. 13975 Shady Acres Road. If there's no questions or comments from any of the commissioners or staff, then I would entertain a motion to approve the admin approvals.
We need, John, you'll need to repeat yourself.
I did. Long as I don't make the motion. Long as I don't make the motion, right?
No, you have to recuse yourself.
Oh, I recuse myself.
You also need to, you need. Will you please?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not apparent that this is, yeah.
Go on.
I can wash my truck while they're got the fire department.
We need to take a really hard look at this.
We need lots of discussion, I think, on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, now we can talk about it.
Are there any comments or questions from any of the commissioners?
No.
If not, then I would entertain a motion to approve for the admin approvals.
I'll motion to approve admin approvals.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right.
All right, John, you can come back now.
All right, our new business, we do have two public hearings this evening. The first one is a conditional use 2212 greenhouse mini storage. It's a proposed mini storage at 301 Greenhouse Road. It is zoned C2. It's 5 acres and the owner is Skylight Properties. Is the applicant here to give us an overview of what you're requesting?
Joanne Johnson, I'm with HAP. So we're requesting a conditional use on this property. There's going to be retail in the front and mini storages in the back. And from my understanding, mini storages are conditionally allowed under C2. So that's what we're proposing.
Who's going to give us an overview on this? It has Kayla's name on it. So. Are
That is correct.
you doing the overview?
I am.
Oh, let's go.
You only have this over there, please.
Thank you for the mic. Okay, yeah, so she is correct. They are requesting mini storage, and because it's C2, they do need to have a conditional use. They do have a concurrent tract split to split the 5 acres off of a larger portion. And they also have a large scale development plan submitted contingent on this conditional use. The parcel is designated as medium high density residential and commercial on the land use plan. And it does invite the Watercolors Apartments to the north and Kimmel Ridge duplexes to the west. And you guys saw this for a rezone, I believe, last meeting. So it is located along Greenhouse Road, which is an existing major arterial. There are improvements to Greenhouse Road currently in progress. And last I heard, it was estimated to be completed in the next 2 to 3 years, or 3 to 5.
Sounds right.
One of those, right? There are utilities, there is water along Greenhouse Road, and sewer is available. There's right through the middle of this property. The hours of operation proposed were 9 AM to 7 PM, 7 days a week. Staff is generally in favor of the proposed hours based on its proximity to the residential area. For parking, the mini storage office space is proposed to be 550 square feet. So it does require at least 2 parking spaces, but staff does recommend additional parking space requirements because the office will be open to the public and they're proposing to have 2 employees. They are dedicating 50 feet of right of way along Greenhouse Road, and that's going to be dedicated with the track split. And there is a planned connection from Kimmel Ridge Phase 2 to Greenhouse, which we're working on figuring out what that connection looks like, whether it'll be straight to Greenhouse or if it will tie into this development. The plan or the conditional use is generally consistent and compatible with the land use plan. In terms of conditions, a few things staff wanted to note. The original concept plan did show 2 entrances, but the first entrance is less than 225 feet away from the entrance to Watercolors. So Alan wanted to recommend a condition be placed to only allow 1 entrance. And then we also wanted to suggest that due to the nature of the outdoor storage proposed and near the back, we want to recommend an 8-foot barrier at the rear of the property adjacent to the duplexes. We don't have any concerns with the business hours, but we will require a site lighting plan to make sure that none of the light is spilling over to the residential properties. In terms of landscaping, we will require street trees to be planted for Centerton approved species, and they will be required in minimum 1 shade tree per 20 linear foot of frontage along all major streets. Each tree may be clustered or grouped. And then the architectural treatments will need to follow city standards if required. Our Centerton Municipal Code, access management. We may need to look at adding pedestrian and vehicle access as necessary for public safety, and then it'll also follow all of our general conditions for signage, future modifications and compliance.
Was fire okay with having a single entrance? Is fire okay with that?
That was gonna be my question.
Yeah.
So where's the lot line gonna go? Is the track split isn't finalized? We're
Not
still
yet.
working through.
What you're seeing on the plan is the lot.
I would recommend that we split that drive down the lot. Well,
Well, the
the
track,
tension is there as well.
On
So
both sides.
yeah, the track split is gonna be splitting this off from the larger property that's down here to the south.
right. But we could line the drive, have shared access since we're going down to 1 drive. Split that on the property, dedicate an access easement on the plat. And then my next question is with the greenhouse improvements. Does 50-foot cover what we need? First question. Second, are there utility easements dedicated based on the new right of way? Do we know?
Okay, I know that we have the 50-foot dedicated and we should have the utility easements.
There,
But how wide is greenhouse gonna be? Is that 50 foot wide enough?
they're dedicating in it.
They're gonna be adjusting and limiting, so we don't know exactly how it's gonna curve around, but.
Known exactly, and then the other part is this parcel track split goes all the way to the intersection at Kimball and Greenhouse. Actually speaking with the engineer for the greenhouse plan already as it was, let's get him other information for other projects. And, you know, looking at that. Trying to get more right away for the intersection there, the roundabout, but. He didn't seem to have an issue with the 50. Before I looked at my street plan, and saw it was 50, I thought it was 45, and he didn't have an issue with that either, so.
I also know there's a lot of floodplain there. Once upon a time.
There's a lot of floodplain and wetland, it's what the hatch is. Keep scrolling down.
Yeah, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. There you go.
That hatch would be what's preliminarily platted as that, obviously. Would have to be finalized for the large scale, but
Correct. I don't know, again, I don't know where they're at on the greenhouse plans. I've seen them once, very preliminary, but.
they're working on 30% now and we'll have something to go back to RDOT with in February.
You know, I don't know, it would be to everybody's benefit, you know, if that floodplain is gonna be incorporated at that corner in those. In that greenhouse improvement. And the owner has no use for it, if you would. Dedicate some of that, and I don't know if it makes sense to get it on the track split, if we have that information now and it's available. Or it might be something we can come back later and work with the developer on. But I don't think it's far enough along to nail anything down right now.
They don't even have 30% plans to complete, so.
Okay. Also, does it make sense? How far north does it come? Have we seen? Does it come all the way? It goes all the way to the north, right?
It goes all the way.
It goes all the way to Walmart.
To Boulevard.
So would it make sense to ask for a fee in lieu on the sidewalk improvements? So we're not, so the developer's not spending money to build it, rip it right out, and then greenhouse comes back in and builds a new sidewalk?
Well, are you talking for the entire improvements or just side?
It could be for, well, he's only developing this corner, so I feel like you can't ask for the whole thing.
No, I'm talking along this property. Are you talking fee in lieu? Or,
What's shown on the plans right here.
okay.
I don't think you can ask
The length of this development.
this development, yeah.
When you said sidewalk, then I was just clarifying if you just wanted sidewalk fee in lieu, or you want to do fee in lieu of the entire half and street improvements.
Oh, I mean, that's an option as well.
I would think you'd be doing more than sidewalk, cause all that's gonna get ripped out.
Mhm.
You'd hate to do any improvement there and then.
It makes sense to me, but there's other factors.
And that's all things we'd go through. With the large.
Just bringing it up in case it impacts anything here, like the driveway.
I'm in full agreement with that.
Any other questions before we open it up to the public?
What's the benefit of doing 1 versus 2 on the entrance? The entrances, before, if the original proposal had a driveway on the north property line as well as the south. It was going to be 80 to 90 feet from the watercolors drive. Just kind of spacing those entrances apart to match AASHTO recommendations. They say that 5 to 50 separation.
Turning movements from.
Yeah, this was the original.
We started looking at putting a median and everything else, it starts having more.
There's, I think in my opinion, the access needs to be looked at, but we need other parts to this. I did look at the greenhouse road and I sent them those plans, but greenhouse has limited access because it has a median plan. So that's why I'm concerned where this stub out road comes out. And it would be nice to be, within this area. of either right below this tract or with this and this development come off of that road as a second access or something
Sure.
is what I'm trying to look at and encourage.
Have you seen any of these plans?
It was sent to us on Friday, but we haven't gotten to overlay it.
The developer came in on Friday and talked with Kayla and me about wanting to see what he would have to do in order to split this property. Should he sell the retail off from the mini storage?
Oh,
So that's also
gotcha.
kind of what we're looking at, and we have a lot of questions as far as what those setbacks would be. And we recommended a PUD to them.
Would that back part not have to have right of way frontage?
Well, that's,
If split off.
it needs some type of frontage it needs some type of access from public. So whether it be access from the new road, come off of Greenhouse and then access off of that, that's,
Where's the drive in Kimmel Ridge on the phase 2? Is that shown on here?
No, it's
No.
further.
that's where.
I couldn't hear, what was that?
The proposed drive for Kimmel Ridge Phase 2, the stub out for that is further south.
I guess I'm not so quick to abandon two access points to this.
I think 80 feet.
And I mean, I totally understand that. I'm thinking about retail and thinking about people getting in and out. I have a retail establishment as well, and one entrance in and out is pretty challenging. So that's just my recommendation, is not to abandon it so quickly. Is there even another alternative, which I think you're suggesting with this second entrance on the backside, yeah, which I think is fine. I think you just need two options, not just one.
To answer your question, to require the second access. Pardon me. You'd have to have a 3-story building or 30 feet in height and over 62,000 total square footage of building space. So they don't meet that. There is a secondary access out of Kimmel Ridge right behind Watercolor, just south of Watercolor. There's a second everybody forgets about.
No,
Is
that's
that a fire access?
is that.
There's
We're talking about them making that connection to Greenhouse Road and then accessing up that.
there's one further south too, out of Kimmel Ridge too. There's
They could connect. This one doesn't connect.
No, it wouldn't connect.
It's further to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
It's not.
Yeah. They're gonna.
I mean, that's an important piece of information.
Maybe a floating bridge.
You gotta be real careful. And that's with the 102 where there's.
Oh, yeah.
It's a conundrum. And when these are done correctly, it's sort of like the Popeyes. Taco Bell where they have the main drive in the back and all those roads funnel to that. I think that works.
Yeah, I'm
That's,
great.
that's
I'm
what we're
happy
trying
with
to,
that.
that's
Yeah,
what they're trying to set up.
Yeah. I'm happy with that. I'd support that.
All right. It's going to open up to the public, so I'd entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
Joey, I'll make a motion to open a public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second. Is anyone opposed? All right, we are open to the public. If there's anyone that wishes to speak, have any questions, comments, concerns in regards to the conditional use for greenhouse mini storage at 301 Greenhouse Road. Second call for anyone that wishes to speak. And third and final call. And I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Donna motion to close the public hearing for CU 22.
Joey, a second.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right. Any additional questions or comments from any of the commissioners, understanding we're not going to solve all of the large scale development questions tonight? Really, what we need to consider is the use, which is the proposed mini storage. on this piece of property, understanding if there's any additional things that we want to put on as far as restrictions. Their proposed hours are 9 to 7, 7 days a week. I did have a question though. Is it not gonna have 24/7 access
Well,
to it? But it'll only be staffed until,
it will only be staffed.
okay.
This is a staff question. Screening requirement to residential. I know you said something about an 8-foot board fence, I imagine. Is there any tree screening required?
Underneath it has landscape screening, trees and shrubs shall be placed in front of the physical screening on the development side to reduce parking lot noise.
Okay, I would like to, I think that's a good idea for light, noise, all kinds of benefits there. And then looking at the parking layout, we have quite a few just open parking stalls. I think it'd be good to, you know, cap it at 10, run a 10 before 10 or 12 before you have to do an island. I think an island would break that up a little bit. And I know that's in that code as well.
It is
Yeah, it's in here. It says 1 tree shall be provided every 10 parking spaces, but they only have 2 proposed for the mini storage. So we need.
Well,
to
there's no
decide.
parking, right?
They have 2, on the new plan, they have 2 parallel parking spaces for the employees right behind the gate. We would like to see some public parking required.
That'd be have to be in front of the gate though.
Yes.
Along that southern lot line.
Well, actually,
Northern
I would think it would be accessible to the office if it was closer to the office.
I see some
That's
random,
something that they need to work
I
out.
see some random parking. Everywhere. It also looks like this would be vehicle storage against the residential. Boat and,
Yes.
Yeah, that's a part of the reason we asked for a taller
yeah.
barrier.
And then that front building against the retail, that is for RVs, we found out, because if I couldn't figure out why that was wider and the building was
The building one.
that size, building one
Building one.
for RV storage.
That's gonna be tight.
Very,
Backing a-
yeah.
Backing a trailer in there.
Then also, if you're pulling,
I mean, if you're
if
back,
you pick up your trailer, pulling out, and we would have to make sure they can get around this development.
yeah, I don't know, getting back out would be,
Then come in.
getting back out with.
There's also boat storage right up against the dumpster.
On the top, on the
On the
north,
top.
A large vehicle.
on the north, or no, the north end of.
Oh, yes, right here.
Like, we will eliminate, it has a
I think
curve
it's too
there and
high.
very difficult.
You can't, I don't think you can get boat in there.
Uh-uh.
Well, it's weird because the ones we have look almost like a normal parking space and that drawing looks like a larger, longer.
Right, this was the newer concept we
Okay.
just got.
We just got it late this afternoon.
Gotcha.
What you guys are looking at is different.
Just won't look at that.
Yeah, sorry.
You're fine.
And I would,
But that'll all come with large scale, right? I mean, that doesn't,
Yeah, the layout will
It
be,
will.
this is only a concept.
yeah.
with the conditional use for this property, I would like to recommend that the planning commission establish the maximum depth of this lot from the rear property line to the front, because if you get, my concern is conditional use for this whole property, you're allowing mini storage on the whole property. So whether it's a percentage, it's a minimum area, I don't know, if you can help establish that boundary. You know, what is the maximum depth?
I gotcha.
What percentage? Right,
Because I know they've got a lot of things to work with, but
I mean, to me, it looks like a third is retail and 2/3 is.
Yeah.
I think you should also state that the retail probably needs to be along greenhouse to conform with the highway commercial. I mean, can we slap a minimum on it? So that a minimum percentage shall be retail And because, I mean, I don't want to come up with an arbitrary number and
Have either minimum depth of retail and maximum depth of storage so that it's a sliding, you know, whichever way you want to do it. Or a percentage. Yes, the true. That's the conditional uses for mini storage. and-
Yeah, one of those conditions would be it'd have to be behind retail and then, you know, maximum like 50% of the and or whatever. Where's the, you talking about, it's split off.
building one.
I see, but I was thinking building part of the retail. There you go. Yeah, so. 2/3. I mean, it's an arbitrary number, but yeah, I mean, it's.
There are some renderings that they provided for us for concept, and the intent behind the way it's designed is for the retail to cover the majority of the storage from the front, except for that office building. And Baps was really, he was really a fan of like, let's put some trees. He moved the side parking and added a full island of landscaping. So his intent was to make it look nice from greenhouse.
I like the idea. I mean, it's.
And this is super basic, not set in stone.
Sure.
They're not
Exactly, isn't exactly what it's gonna
very concept.
20-year-old tree.
I was confused on the plans when you said RV parking. It was up front. Where is that?
It's in the rear.
Well, I spread.
I saw the rear, but you also said something was up front.
Building one
Building one.
is covered RVs.
It's covered RV. Is there anything gonna be blocking that from sight on the road besides the
I
building?
think
Or is the building, is that the plan? Is it for the front building, the retail to be long enough to not see that?
Except for the office space. And that
On
bottom
that-
corner.
The back of the building is to the east.
Yeah, it's closed, right?
60 feet. back.
The 60 feet, you'd have a trailer and your RV or truck and an RV
Only
kind
do
of
it
back.
25
No,
feet.
no.
Be mine, but.
See how the back of the building is completely closed off.
You wouldn't see RVs sticking out.
Okay, so it's not visible.
I'm great with
But getting in, but then, of course, that's large scale stuff, but getting a trailer, using that rear part of the building one, I would say, what's that?
enter from.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tight turn
Yes.
for an RV.
Then on the west side of the retail, that is for employee parking. It's the back of the building. It's not like another set of commercial businesses. It's just
Covering the.
employee. Would be the back intro, the back access. And this is just for consideration because that's employee parking in the back of the building. Is there a need for any type of buffer between that building and? Can you go back there? We're entering. I can, yes. Is there any need for any type of buffering between there? Or would it be better to have it around the property?
And
This is just, we're just asking.
the retail is phase 2.
Right, they're doing mini storages phase 1 and then retail phase 2.
That's good to know. So I think that might up the landscape requirements to be covered essentially, you know, from the public right of way, which is gonna be three sides of this, everything but the north. It'll be hard to do. It'll be hard to do on the eastern edge of building 1 that would face greenhouse. Lorraine, what was your question? A buffer? And is that even, do we need to talk about that tonight?
Is there any landscaping or like buffer between the retail?
Between the Building and the sidewalk? Oh,
Be like through here where my
Retail and the mini storage is.
I think, so if the plans to do that phase 1, I think there has to be. Right, well, I guess it depends on the finish of the building.
Yeah. And how far it is set back, how far that's set back from the road though, still, I mean. They're doing an island in the back.
I got a question.
Maybe that.
I got a question about the stormwater on this because this is a track split. So you're splitting it off. What about the water? I mean, are they where's the dish, I mean, there obviously is no detention, it's all asphalt.
Go
And
in
if there's
there.
a flood coming down there, but is there gonna be an easement given to, for the discharge of the water from this to go off-site?
Need to be within a drainage easement.
Yeah, so there needs to be an easement granted with this for the stormwater.
Well, anything, I mean, right there, it's cut off, is showing the pond. I don't know if that's an easement or showing the top of bank or. But anything goes in would have to be an easement, including any pipes going through.
Pond was directly south of the,
Well, I mean, with this being a track split, I mean, they can sell the other.
this isn't a.
This isn't a-
This is conditional,
Yeah, it's conditional use, not a track split yet.
they just may divide it a future time, so they want to be prepared that they would be able to do. So.
So what questions do we need to answer? Percentage or some sort of stating that the retail's in front. And the whole site is not going to be mini storage, correct?
The 8 foot screening in the back.
What percentage of the site?
Right, that's,
Or
I'm just trying to get the questions that we need to answer.
Yeah, and I'm kind of hesitant to put a percentage, because if you're off like a 0.5% when it, when it comes to large scale, I mean, it's kind of,
well, yes.
that has flexibility there. I mean, I just,
State a percentage. And
as a
or,
maximum.
and or an intent. And then. Imagine that would fly.
Well, intent was to be 2/3 and oh no, we're at 3/4. Intent's a hard thing to make a condition.
I'm
Intent
gonna,
of the retail to cover the, to screen the mini storage from
I was saying, if
the.
you're saying the intent was supposed to be, 2/3, as mentioned earlier. If that's the intent, yeah, if they're at 66.9%,
I mean,
67. But if they're at 75, the
Right.
intent was 2/3, but it's. Kind of hard to say the intent's 2/3 and what's.
It's really 20%.
Yeah, what's gonna be.
You could put a maximum then, right? You could put a maximum of, call it 67%, just throwing a number out there. Then they can't go above that
Mhm.
from a mini storage perspective, right?
you
That
have
covers us.
the percentage right now that's covered. Storage.
you have to do public math and all
Yeah.
that.
The rest.
You know, the distances of the retail area and the.
I took out a calculator and added up all the.
Yeah.
I know, I did
I
that.
mean, and that might change a little bit, beginning, like you said, I conceptually, I don't know if you'll be able to get. Then, the back, you may have to move building 1 up or down. When you get that calculation finalized and,
We'll say that the RV storage is diagonal, it's not straight on.
oh, okay. It's one way, so it'd be one way. Well, let's see, Joey can back up there.
Will it have doors or will it be open and
It's
diagonal?
struck in the leg.
Well, is the cover gonna be?
I didn't know, I was curious.
Oh,
And then they.
okay, that's better.
So you'd have to go in and.
Yeah.
Just have to keep them out on the-
Which makes sense. Well, that makes it a lot easier than when I was seeing diagonal.
Yeah, kind of feeling.
Building one.
And there, and that's where you store it. So, I mean,
A max percentage would work.
I'd say 70, I'd say 70%, a max of 70%.
70/30, yeah.
I think that's pretty close without adding up every square inch.
I was gonna go 2/3, but.
Well, you're saying a max.
Make it even.
Come in.
So max 70/30 with the max of 70 being the storage.
And the retail.
Retail up front, or greenhouse, I should say.
And the retail. Screening the mini storage from the right of way view.
And we're coming up with that percentage just based on what looks like the drawing here.
Excluding right of way,
What?
excluding the right of way, 70% storage excluding the right of way.
Just their property. So yes, excluding the
The right of way has to be dedicated either way.
Whatever is a little.
That was left over from the right of way.
Because the.
Because when they dedicate right away, no one becomes a problem.
Okay, but right now it includes the property. That's why, I mean, the right of way. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, because.
Excluding the 50-foot right of way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just their property, yeah. After the right of way dedication.
Say rear screening. It's already in there.
Developable.
There you go.
That works so hard to say.
Yeah, I said. All right, are there any other questions or comments?
I would want to say the two drives, if you don't want to make one drive in condition, which that's fine.
I do.
Then make the other one has to be right in, like entrance only. It's more so for getting in and then getting the deliveries around. I think with a median in there, if you can just turn in from the north side, but not necessarily out. It makes entrance easy, might stockpile the back until it eventually connects to Kimmel.
I'm a supporter of the one shared access drive.
Just one shared access and not have.
That's what I,
But would that be on the conditional use, or would that be on large scale?
The conditional use would limit the drives now, though, if you're saying if you have more than one, it's only an entrance only. That would be a condition on the whole.
I kind of like shared drive myself, because you're probably not gonna get any access to the rear.
Well, there's actually the rear is for deliveries.
Yeah,
I disagree with, if there's one access. Wait a minute. When I look at what is proposed on the greenhouse draft plan. There is a designated turning area
center
on
line.
the north half of this. And that's something that we can.
Well, maybe they
you know,
flip
fix with the median, you know, we can break it in places.
that, or maybe we flip the drive to be a certain distance away from the watercolor drive. And where it's in the broken median in the greenhouse improvement.
And then do the stub out.
Correct, to the west.
The stub out is going to have to be a certain distance from the roundabout. That's gonna be the critical one.
Mhm.
And then I would say that the other access is determined from the safest place between those.
I'm still, and if you do that, if we're considering that there's gonna be a median around that roundabout on the south, then you don't have room for two drives.
That's pretty much where I was looking. If you try to get another drive south of here between that, rather than just the one. Then that's kind of where having that limit. And
Yeah.
more so going to do. That's the thing, if you're gonna put a second one in, which you didn't seem opposed to. Let's say control off greenhouse being only, entrance only, and having that full drive in the southern drive.
I like, what does everybody think about the drive?
I like the one option. I'm with you, Joey.
I agree. I like shared use myself, but
It's a one,
I'm good with one.
it's four, Tony's a one.
Yeah, no, yeah. Sure, right.
Which be basically like you see like with Popeyes and stuff now, where you have one entrance off greenhouse, but then you have you're driving back.
Air drive and Southern Drive. Off of the new stub out.
Apparently, yeah, but apparently it's not required. Fire's okay with,
Okay, but what about just accessibility, whether it's fire code?
I mean, yeah, it'd be great, and if the developer
That
wants
would
to
limit
promote that.
One access from greenhouse.
One,
Otherwise, you're gonna have two accesses and a stub out street.
two accesses?
Is that what you're saying?
No, we're saying one shared drive on greenhouse. Period. And then if they want to connect, I would love for them to connect to the drive at Kimmel Ridge.
Okay, what if that drive from Kimmel Ridge comes out just south of this piece? That's what they're kind of looking at, is it not? That drive is, that the new street is going to come on the south property line between this piece and the detention pond. So if you can,
Yeah. I think it meets code with one drive. I think we've solved a problem with the one drive on greenhouse. I don't feel like we can make them connect to Kimmel Ridge Drive on the west. Now, if that's my business, I would want that. That's just how I feel.
okay, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that right now they're showing a shared drive. to the south, but then we also need a road stepped out right to the south of that.
Here's where the stub out is. This development
Because
is only a
trying to keep it from between the detention pond and the development
Or maybe there's,
going to the swamp area.
maybe there's something on the south that develops and that drive extends down to that and loops back around to the shared drive.
When you looked at it, you get into the swamp, do you not?
So we're probably not looking at another development on the second piece.
We are looking at another development on the second piece. We're trying to see what we're gonna end up putting our intention. We're trying to shove that as far south as we can. And then develop what we can above the floodplain.
But it'd be more to the west.
Yeah.
Where it wouldn't be
It'd
so.
be off of
small
Greenhouse.
As in just that corner. Trying to get a road through that corner piece is going to be difficult.
So are you saying that you would like that to be a public road?
Mhm. That's what it was planned.
I
for.
think that's great overall. I think that's the best idea.
From there to Greenhouse Road.
Mhm.
And they're trying to take it and then it will angle up so that it gets out of that swamp area, which would be between the development and the detention pond.
I don't know why they couldn't do that later. And connect it to this shared drive. Right? I think we're gonna lock them into a,
One thing that I think the development needs to work, okay, lock them onto,
we're gonna lock them into an alignment on that road that is gonna force a lot of things in the future.
you're doing one access off of Greenhouse. And I think that it's something with the development that they're gonna have to work on where that stub out is and where that access is.
And how far that
Because if you have them right next to each other, I think it's a problem.
You're saying the
So
shared access.
I'm saying,
The shared access would be the public drive. We just don't know how to connect it this time because the property to the south of what we're looking at today is not being developed. with this development.
So that shared access needs to be on that property line stub, and then you get into everything going off to the right. Right now, the proposal shows it going straight through right to the back.
Yeah, it probably needs to stop and not do that.
You
And
need to
then,
stop when you gain access off the side, if you're gonna tie into that later.
yes, now we got it. Needs to be set up for future use without constructing it to lock you into a alignment that might not function well. That's my intent. Conversation.
The whole access drive will shift 50 feet south.
Or that access drive could come in and T, and then you could go right or left, go left to go to the mini storage, go right to retail. And a portion of that would be public from wherever, I'd imagine it coming in behind the retail building. So everything to the east of that would be public, everything to the west would be private.
That help.
Yeah, can I make a comment? As somebody that pulls some RV. You're saying you only want one.
1 second.
entrance
We
on
do
the
need you to give us your name and address.
Oh.
Thank you.
My name's Keith Higginbotham. I live at 458 West First Street. And if you're looking at taking the two entrance exits off of Greenhouse, you gotta understand, you cannot have RVs leaving this going through another subdivision. They've got to come back out and go back out on Greenhouse. And I'm telling you, mine is a 30-foot trailer. And you can't come and try to make that small turn come around the building and then come out the same that you're gonna come in on. It won't work. And I think that's probably why y'all designed with the two. So you're gonna cause a lot of problems if you're asking people with RVs, whether they're motorhomes or trailers, exiting out through the back and going through a subdivision.
No,
With the two, it wouldn't have
No.
mattered, still had to loop back to the retail to get out. So no matter what, there's always gonna be just one exit in and out of the store.
How much room is it in between the retail and the road?
What they've shown there, there's only one entrance and exit to the storage.
Yeah,
I
have to
thought-
go around.
Can you go back to where it shows where it shows the actual finished? Cause I thought it showed two.
Oh, the finish is just
So
concept.
Yeah, that's
it
just
does
right.
show two, but you're still.
That's what I'm saying. You can go in and if I understand it, it's gonna be angled back, so it's only gonna be one way
So
out.
you're still only gated to get in off of the south side. Where up there you go straight through, the only way to get into the storage area is right there.
Because there's a dumpster here.
And
So you would still have to, even if you came in this way,
You still gotta
you
go to
would
that
have to
one.
cruise around over here.
Go through the
and then
parking
go over
behind,
here,
and make that sharp
And
turn.
then go there and then back your RV.
And again, whatever is shown tonight could change. Keep in mind, just that we are talking about whether they can actually do it. And then I've been known to ask for some turn radius information, so they'll probably be prepared when they show up.
I've pulled my RV in places and it's like, how am I gonna get out of here?
We've made some others do that as well, so. But what they're saying is you'd have one way in, but what we're really worried about is. Connectivity to the south. That I don't think it necessarily impacts whether you're gonna try to make a right and go through a neighborhood, because we don't even know if that's gonna be a neighborhood. But we need a stub out is what we're asking for. To the south, but we don't know what that looks like yet.
Okay.
Because it could, because theoretically, it could connect to the retail for those people that live in that area. Not necessarily for an RV to go in or out, it's really more for the connectivity to all the housing that's south.
They wouldn't have to get out on Greenhouse.
Come out,
and
go to
turn
the
around
house and
and
come back in.
Come right back in.
Yeah, it shouldn't have anything to do necessarily with the RV
No.
portion of it.
Quick question, if we're beyond that, you had mentioned earlier, I think you said you wanted landscaping or something between retail and the storage, is that correct?
We were just.
just asked.
I kind of like that idea, especially if you said earlier that there's a potential that the developer or owner is going to sell the two. I'd like that barrier along.
I think it's, have to look at the distance, but
they can make. their-
also if they're doing it in phases there, if you're doing the mini storage first, there's nothing saying the time frame to come back and do the retail, right? So we don't know how long
I'm
that's.
not saying that retail ever get built.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, we
Right.
can approve the use, but it could be years, it could be months. I don't know. But we had some kind of screening there to where if it never got built. I do like how it's closed off though, that front facing is closed off with just only one entrance from guys. But in doing that screening, that reduces the issue. Anything in between, you have to bring that retail closer.
Well, might have that a little smaller or something. We got a lot of building on a little foot, there's a little lot here.
Okay. Any other discussions?
One access off a greenhouse that goes in and out.
Yes.
Has to right now.
Yes.
Yes.
And the screening in front of building one.
I'd say screening, yeah, screening from public way. That would be. West, south and east. West is gonna have to happen because it's residential.
I do agree with Brandon that it's going to be difficult with one access for retail for people going in. Now,
They have the whole site to design.
they.
I think they can make something right. I don't think we jeopardize the traffic safety on Greenhouse to accommodate a specific site design that's presented on a conditional use.
If there's no more questions or comments, then I would entertain a motion for the conditional use 22 12, the greenhouse mini storage, proposed mini storage at 301 Greenhouse Road.
Mr. John, I'll motion to approve conditional use 22-12. With conditions of retail frontage, 70-30 split in storage versus retail. One single access on greenhouse with shared drive and landscape screening in front of all way.
This is Ben, I'll second.
Motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, sorry. Stop.
Wait, before we go, I have a question. I heard single access, but we were also talking about did you say shared access too? I didn't hear.
That's shared access, single access off greenhouse with shared access.
In that motion, no, it's not required that they connect to the backside.
What do we mean by shared access? I just need.
Shared access, it's the driveway that'd be split on the property, their southern property line. They would use, and also the development to the south would use, so we don't have multiple drive cuts on greenhouse there.
We have a motion. Can we have a second? Kayla, if you'll do a roll call for me, please.
Joey Engel,
Yes.
Brandon Swoboda,
Yes.
Ben Lewis. Devin Murphy,
Yes.
Craig Langford,
Yes.
John Sessoms,
Yes.
Tony Davis,
Yes.
Jeff Safarth.
Yes. Thank you. Good luck. Devin, see you in a little bit. Just note that Devin Murphy is recusing himself. Next on the agenda is also a public hearing. This is for rezone 2231 HSK Homes, rezone from R3 multifamily, R3D at 376 North D Street. It is 0.14 acres. The applicant is Swope Engineering. Bill, you want to give us an overview of what you're requesting?
Sure. This is just a small lot, currently zoned multifamily that we're asking for a downgrade in zoning to R3D. We're not gonna be able to fit the number of units you could on a multifamily, and so this just makes sense. It gets our setbacks down a little bit, what they want to do.
Thank you. Eric, you want to give us a staff overview?
As we just said, it is a downgrade from R3 and that's R3D. That changes the maximum density from 8 units per acre to 7 units. Which remains consistent with the current land use plan. So with the setbacks, the new setbacks would be 25 feet from the front, 20 feet from the rear, 7 feet from the side, interior, and 25 feet from the side, from a street side setback. Has direct access to water and sewer along View Street. And as I said, it remains compatible and consistent with the land use plan and the current zoning.
Current zoning, is it all multifamily?
Correct.
Yes, all this area.
3.5 blocks or?
Yeah.
Which allows single family up to 4 units.
Really, this is just helping them on their setback. All right, what are the setback differences?
I think it's like we'd be at 10 down to 7.
In the setback?
If you're doing single family, you just have to be single family setbacks for the lot.
Oh, so
So there's really,
there's no need to rezone?
There's, and we've all explained that what they are wanting to do will fit with the zoning that they're in. But there is some reason,
Mhm.
whatever it is, that they want to downzone. to a less intensive use.
Maybe I misunderstood, Lorraine. I thought in the emails we talked about the setbacks coming down, so they're not gonna change at all. Okay.
Okay, no,
Several of us explained
I
it.
think what they're saying is if you. This sounds a little weird to me, but if you do a duplex type construction in the multifamily, it's only held to the duplex
Correct.
setbacks.
Correct. And the same thing with single family. If they were to build just a single family, then it would be the typical
Even though,
R3 single family.
even though legally it's R3 MF.
Because it allows up to that.
Never heard it interpreted that way, but. All right.
So what's the concern? I don't.
Does that change your request or?
At this point, he's already here.
I'd like to go ahead and get it zoned, that is what the client asked of us, so it's possible. It's just a lower intensity.
I know the lower intensity.
Right.
Are there any additional questions or comments from any of the commissioners before we open up to the? If not, then I want to entertain a motion to open the public hearing for the rezone 2231.
Motion to open the public hearing?
Motion in a second. You can give it to whoever you want. Is there anyone that's opposed? Okay, at this time, we are open to the public. If you wish to speak, we ask that you come to the podium. We ask that you state your name and your address and any questions, comments, or concerns that you might have.
Virginia Higginbotham, 458 West First Street. Our property is adjacent to that. Can I see what you're going to put there? Because I don't see it fitting at all. How it's gonna work.
And if you'll talk to us, I mean, what we don't know, we don't have any concepts. We don't necessarily consider that whenever we think about.
Then how do you
Use of the
know
land.
what he wants to use it for is going to work if you rezone it, if you don't know what he's using it for?
He'll have to conform to whatever the zoning classifications are and requirements are
So how close is that going to be to my property?
for the setback.
Setbacks,
That'd be for
25 in the front, 7 on side interiors, 25 on street side, and then 20 in the rear. Okay.
We've had neighbors call us because he's on the council, asking how in the world are we gonna be able to do that? And still have a decent place to live. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I realize what it's zoned for, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what he wants to do is gonna fit there.
Have to meet the,
So is there gonna be any requirements for a fence? Is there gonna be any requirements for a garage? Is there any requirements for a driveway? Because I'm not sure how you're gonna put a duplex and have driveway for 2 people.
And the owner intended in his application to build a single family home.
But he's gonna put a duplex there.
No, there won't be, not according to their statement.
We don't know, it's just zoning.
This is
Zoning.
this is just this.
In the application, the intended use was to build.
But now that's changed.
So it's single family right now, or multi-family right now.
Multifamily right now, he's asking for a lesser intensity.
0.14 acres, how in the world is that gonna work?
A lot of the R3 single family lots are like 0.5 to 1.8 acres.
Or notice if there's a buyer.
Yeah, 0.14 acres.
Yeah, 0.14 acres.
It's residential duplex.
does it meet the minimum lot requirement? Lot width and area? I was hoping that would be, yes.
You don't know when you have to look it up. Then why would they-
Size of.
1.1.
We don't know the dimensions.
Does it meet the?
No way of finding it.
Bill, you don't have a survey with you, do you?
So we did have a survey.
Haven't surveyed it?
We'll come back to the size. I made a note. Anything else?
Questions answered, but okay.
What specific question? Well,
Won't do anyway, because he's not.
I can probably answer, I think she's asking is that whatever we could do today, we're gonna be able to do no more than that and probably less than that.
Right.
This is done.
Correct.
Kimberly Mills, 388 North D Street, and I think the confusion is that it's been put on here that it's gonna be a duplex. And it's not a big enough lot. I mean, to have parking, so for a duplex, how many parking spaces are you supposed to have for a single dwelling? 2 at least? A duplex to be 4, where are they gonna park? D Street is busy, you can't park on the side of the road. There's not gonna be any fencing, there's not gonna be anything to protect the homes around them. From people that have moved in, rentals, that kind of thing. You know, we don't know who's gonna be moving in, prime rate. Is it gonna bring down the value of the house? You know, that my mom's lived in for 50 some odd years. That kind of thing. And I think that's what she's thinking about too. Is it gonna be a duplex or a single home? A single home, that would be easier to get if you have a garage or parking for. But if you have a duplex, you're either gonna have to build it 2-story, and then where are you gonna put 4 parking spots? Because otherwise they're gonna be parking in the ditch in front of my mom's house or on the other side in front of their house. So I think that is what she was saying too. So.
And
with that,
just so everybody is clear, it's currently zoned multifamily, so they can have more than 2 units on this one lot, depending on what would fit. So, you know, if 3 or 4 would fit, that's what would be permitted by right. And they wouldn't even have to have this meeting tonight. They're asking,
busy street already.
they're asking to come down in intensity with this zoning.
Yeah, if anything, this will be less than
Right.
we're allowed to do.
That's
today.
that's what I'm saying. I think that's what she was misunderstanding too, is that.
Because they're asking for a duplex, that doesn't necessarily mean they are building a duplex. It can be up to a duplex, depending on the application, but we don't know. This is just for the use of the land, not necessarily what's going on it.
It's the parking and that kind of thing, because pulling out on D Street now is not fun. Okay, so that was my question. And I think that was her question as well, so.
Thank you.
anyone else wish to speak or have any questions or comments? Second call for anyone that wishes to speak. And third and final call.
This is Joey. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Got it.
John, second. Motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there anyone that's opposed?
I would like to know the lot size before we vote and make a
I
non-conform.
think it was 70 foot.
70 feet?
On here, it says 70 foot. 8,000 square foot. What did I say?
Well, we can't rezone it to be non-conforming.
Yeah,
It's
the
all
south is 70 foot, lot 7 and tract of land adjacent to the said lot on the east side, describing it as being the southeast corner. Same thing he's saying, 20 foot, 7 foot, so.
The 20-foot is,
70 foot in the middle, and I thought, my understanding was it had to be 80 foot to put a duplex on it.
0.14 acres, it's, I mean, give or take where that fraction goes, 6,100 square feet.
Oh, square feet, but they're talking about the lot width.
Yeah.
So.
But there's an area requirement for duplexes as well.
So-
6 or 8?
The single family.
I'm sorry, was that Laurie?
It only meets the single family, so you can have an R3D, which allows for a single family of 6,000 square feet.
Why not just zone it single family?
That's what I would love to hear. A single family.
What's the minimum lot area on a duplex?
8,000.
8,000.
It doesn't meet the area, it can't be a duplex,
They wouldn't be able
even
to.
if it's zoned duplex.
That's what I was
I
thinking.
think that's why the owner said that that was the intent, is to build a single family. So,
Well, then that wasn't a problem.
yeah.
Want to amend.
Yeah.
Wanna amend
Amend the request.
I think what he's basically asked us to zone, so it sounds like for the requirements, it's gonna be single family. But I'd still like the R3Ds. If we can go that zone.
Just for thought,
We can't rezone to R to duplex if it's non-conforming, right? We can't rezone it to non-conforming.
well, it
Already.
would fall out of consistency with the land use plan if it was zoned to R3
It would be non-conforming because he could build single family. If single family is allowed in R.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not non-conforming.
Correct. It's not
On a
known.
single family.
Just weird word zoning it.
Yeah.
What's the multifamily area requirement?
10,000 for the first 3 units.
That's already
And
not,
then 12,000.
if you wanted to do
for
that.
4 units.
The intent was for some properties to consolidate.
In the downtown, yes, there's like lots put together. They're very small lots and then there's some that are combined.
Yeah, and there are already in that general area, the downtown area, there are some throughplexes, fourplexes, single family, duplex.
So instead of spot zoning,
To Eric's point, it is zone R3 MF. It could stay R3 MF and they could only build a single family house. That would be the most consistent with the land use plan.
Because it, yeah, I don't think you would, I don't think you need to change the zone.
I don't think it,
I mean, I know you represent the client, but.
Maybe there was a miscommunication with him with staff, but he was convinced that it was to get that smaller setback on the side. So
in order to do a single family.
Yeah, but you can build a single family with that setback.
We also,
setbacks are.
Jeff also explained it yourself also, that it's not, and also Audrey,
oh,
that it's not
well,
required.
okay. You see what he's saying.
supposed to be R3.
And you may have said that, but that is not what we got it. And I misunderstood it completely, but
It does change.
So they need to come in.
my understanding is setbacks do get.
So the future land use plan, I thought based on what
Sure.
I'm seeing here does say that it should be going from MF to.
No, that MF would be consistent and duplex would be consistent with medium high density.
When that zoning was created, it was the thought that a lot of those lots will be combining, which would then make it conform. In this particular case, it's not, it's still a small lot, so it doesn't really meet that square foot minimum.
Yeah.
We thought we.
I think they're trying to get clarification that will.
Look at this stays.
Need anything, I mean, even if you just,
We thought this would be better.
there's a 3.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, there's a setback difference.
Lorraine is,
The setbacks do reduce from 10 foot.
There's a setback difference.
And we thought that going to a zoning that's still consistent with the land use plan was better than a variance. You know, we don't have a hardship here. We want to stay within the land use plan. Deal with it the way I think it should be, which would be through zoning.
I have a question for fire. If the setback variance. Is that, I mean, obviously that's based on adjacent uses, right? Because of your soffit overhang, no?
No, so Featherston Village, I'll give you as a prime example. I just went and inspected 2 of those houses. They have 5-foot setbacks. So in doing that, they have to have all metal soffit and then your eave has to be fire blocked.
Is that because they can be closer than 10 feet because they can overhang 2 feet on each side?
No, so 5 foot from, the reason why we went with 7 foot is to
You
make
have
it simple,
5.
because it's 5 foot from the overhang. Well, everybody forgets about the overhang. So we set it at 7 foot in planning code. So that way we didn't have to worry about that overhang
Okay,
and people forgetting about that. So 2.5 to 5 feet, you can have, it's metal soffit with fire blocking in the eave. If it's under 2.5, it has to be a rated wall with no penetrations, no doors, no windows. You can't have your air unit on that side. You can't have anything going in, your electrical meter, nothing can go in that side.
And so in this case, we're gonna maintain the 5 feet regardless if the setback 7 or 10. Because the adjacent property would have a 10. And so there, to the fire code, there is no issues. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So what does change, Lorraine?
R3 MF, if we don't change that, it needs to be consistent through there. There's a lot of single family homes in the downtown that don't have a 10-foot setback.
Sure.
7 foot probably not been allowed. So. And that's the way I had understood that to be, that if they're doing a single family home, then you use the single family setbacks. Yes.
Which are 10?
No, 7.
Seven.
We would hate to rely on that. I don't know. The code says,
Right,
it says 10 foot in a R3 MF.
Right, and that's why I think I've never heard it done this way where you can do a single family home, different setbacks while you're zoned. Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Well,
I get it, but it's also.
well, I mean, we didn't feel like we had a hardship necessarily, but on the other hand, we felt like we are fitting with what's intended for this area. And so that R3D does let us.
7 feet.
Yeah. So it gets us to 7 feet, which is what we want to build there, and we're not now becoming inconsistent with the land use.
And looking at
It's
it,
not a hardship, but it is a unique circumstance.
7 feet,
huh,
even an R2, single family is.
7 feet. I mean, looking at like what Brandon said, looking at the land use plan, medium high density. I think it still fits with the land use. The duplex. Medium density. You disagree? Anybody disagree?
Can a duplex even fit on it? I'm guessing, I'm trying to figure out.
Without
I mean, they,
But multifamily can't either.
I mean, you could make the recommendation to go to single family. I mean, that's.
That's what I was asking, if you wanted to table it and ask if your client will want to go to single family.
And then that solves the
That solves all of it,
setback,
but
but that doesn't meet the land use plan.
it doesn't meet the land use plan, but
I mean, I think we
you have a variance from land use.
we're asking for something that's consistent with the land use plan. I think,
I'm with Phil on that.
yeah, if we were asking for something inconsistent with the land use plan, I would agree that there's some controversy.
And by the rules, that you can't build a duplex on it.
Correct.
You have to acquire additional land.
We have a- or
You have to have a variance.
And that's obviously not.
Like that happened, yeah.
Still meets. Land use plan.
Single family,
Because it's within.
medium,
the
small,
Town includes. Single family duplex multifamily. Because otherwise Ruth would be spot zoning every lot.
well, that's what we're asking him to do, is spot in that lot.
I know, that's
Yeah,
why,
no,
that's why we discourage this as spot zoning. I mean, as.
You wait, so you're calling this spot zoning? You know, it's.
I'm calling the single family as spot zoning.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This, the R3D is consistent with.
I agree with
Call for this area.
I agree.
I definitely want to vote on that, because I don't think this is controversial that we're meeting what the city's asked for in this area.
And I think it's a moot point whether or not you build a duplex on it or not, because you need the variance.
Yeah, we're not.
Not to mention the minimum lot size restriction.
That's what the variance would be, for the minimum lot size. Not likely.
It's not gonna happen.
are there any other questions before we go through our considerations? The first one is the rezoning consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan, including the adopted land use plan. Not. And in this case, with the medium high density residential, it is actually consistent with the land use plan. Does anybody disagree with that? Is the proposed rezoning compatible with the surrounding area and zones? And I think that it is, residential. It is the medium portion of it, if you will. There actually can do less with this one. Understanding the constraints of the lot size, I think is kind of throwing off this duplex designation. At least whenever I think about it, and certainly open it up to any discussion or any of the commissioners' comments or questions in regards to that.
I think if anything, you have a adjacent zoning across the street of R2. This would be duplex and then transitions to multifamily. But that's kind of a weak as well.
Does anybody disagree that it is compatible? Would all the permitted uses in this new zone be compatible in this location and the surrounding areas? Again, this is kind of one of those strange questions too, because the permitted use would be a duplex, but we know that the duplex won't fit. So this is one of those really strange questions for us to answer. So if we think about the permitted uses in the new area be compatible in this location and the surrounding areas, I mean, it's already multifamily or potential for multifamily. So it would,
I say, yeah.
I also consider this to be compatible and would certainly open it up to any discussion or comments.
Hold on a second, if I'm reading that right. The uses, all permitted uses in the new zone compatible in that location. It's not all the uses are in duplex, or I don't think it matters on your road, but all permitted uses inside duplex will be permitted in that location. You can't have duplex. Does it?
It's talking about the use of the land adjacent to other uses, not talking about the size and what you can build in it.
It said permitted uses in the new zone.
The use.
Yeah.
The use. Duplex.
I guess if you're just looking at the use as residential, not,
Okay, what if it was duplex?
I mean, it is duplex is residential. That's what I'm saying. If you're saying the permitted use is only residential.
Correct.
You're not changing. Okay, then I guess I would agree that because you're not changing from
Yeah,
resident to non-resident.
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
So I don't know if it's number 2 or number 3, but
One of those.
but one of those is a no. Because of the inability to have the duplex on that lot. As I'm reading 2 and 3, I can't figure out which one it goes on, but that would just be where I would put a no. Is it gonna affect the overall? I don't know, but. You can put me down for a no on 3.
I think it depends on how you read the question.
Right.
When it's saying permitted use. To me, this is a rezoning question, so it would be the permitted use
Would just be to me residential.
of a duplex. And now, you're right,
Right, it's not.
we know that you can't build a duplex there, so it's a single family, but. Either way, I think the answer is, to me, is that it's compatible.
Yeah, I think it's compatible if you look at it from a zoning perspective.
Perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's single family or duplex, it's residential.
Is that? Change,
I
I mean,
mean,
still a no on 1 or on 2 or 3?
Yeah,
I see where you're going. I
One,
agree with
because of the lot itself, there can't be a straight yes across this board.
And maybe that's our discussion under 4.
4, maybe it's 4. Right. It's gotta be somewhere, but I'm with you. Can a duplex be compatible in the area based on the zoning? The answer is yes. Can a duplex be compatible on that lot? The answer is no.
And that's what I mean in that location.
Right.
That to me was that lot versus that area.
Oh, to me, that
You're looking at a
location-
unicorn lot.
well, I think there's a lot of unicorn lots.
Buys the stuff, right?
I would agree with that too.
Yeah, it's a trick, but I don't know that.
Brian, any clarification from our legal counsel?
Isn't that you have multifamily duplex
And single family, right?
mixed within.
Yes.
And I do.
But it's,
Intent on the R3 MF is if you built a single home, you had a 7-foot setback, you met the single family requirements.
Does it state that anywhere in the zoning code?
Well, the reason that the 10 feet went to I mean, the 10 foot is on the R3 multifamily is because it does have, you have up to 4 units. So you would want a larger setback than just a single family home. So that's why we increased it on the R3 MF. If you built a multifamily building up to 4 units, then you would need that 10 foot setback.
But couldn't you say that if it was adjacent to multifamily as well, because you have more density packed in one area and you'd like more open space?
Bigger lot.
But the higher the density, you still have a 7 foot setback even on large lots.
So is it spelled out in the zoning code anywhere that says the lower?
He clarified that in R3 MF, if a single family home is built, then they would abide by the single family setback.
So that's a no to my question. Does it spell anywhere that if it's a R3D zoning, you can build a single family and you're held to the single family setback?
That was our intent.
So it's not. in-
Now I can see what he was saying when I look at the chart,
Yeah.
but R3 MF does allow for single family homes to be built. But I see. It's. It would be difficult in the downtown.
Yeah, no, I get it.
The only other thing to do is on the R3 MF, change it to 7 feet. And that can be a little close when you have 7 units.
Yeah, I would not.
That's the alternative to this.
So from his perspective, how does he get a warm fuzzy feeling about this if it's not in the zoning code?
When we've built things that are not the exact zone that we're in other cities. In those zoning codes, it'll say, these are the setbacks if you build a single family, these are the setbacks if you build a townhome, if you build a. And so in this case, it's just one. So, I don't know that I agree. I don't think there's something written that would assure our client that. In the code that says we could follow R1 setbacks.
Isn't that what you said you just read in a different city?
No, well, if the R3 MF zoning in Centerton's code said these would be the setbacks in the R3 MF. If you build a 3-plex, if it's listed out that way,
Right.
then we would for sure have that warm fuzzy, but we absolutely don't.
Right, and then I don't think you're gonna be able to get it. Even if we sit here and say this, and it's voted on. I'm just making sure that.
It's something that we would have to go through on the R3 MF to specifically
code.
spell out that for
Different
for
types.
duplex or single family, that the side setback would be reduced to 7.
Yeah, that's what we're
But
seeing.
It was our intent, but it was not completely
Spelled out.
spelled out. It's on our chart, and that's what our intent was. To allow for those, but
Are you okay to move?
Yeah, we want to go to R3D, for sure.
Would the rezoning provide a benefit to this landowner but not be considered for other similar properties in this area? I don't think that it provides just one benefit. I think we would look at all of the properties in this area in the same manner, again, knowing there's some confusion. Call it confusion, there's mixed in downtown as we try to incorporate some of the older part of town. And I'd certainly open this up to discussion or any comments from any of the commissioners.
I'm gonna say that you have more non-conforming lots downtown, so that backs up your statement that it would be considered. For other
Any of
similar
those would be
lots,
considered.
any of those lots are gonna be issues.
I agree.
Questions?
Had it clicked on the wrong PDF.
If the public is opposed, why are the objections based upon factual information relating directly to this request or opinion based? Does any factual information presented apply to this rezoning situation? A couple of the questions that came up or comments, I guess, was in regards to the home values. Duplex parking was one of the questions, understanding the fact a duplex won't fit there now. So I don't think we have to worry about the parking from a duplex perspective. Prime and value, I didn't see any information that shows this is what happens if a duplex was to be built, now understanding that a duplex can't be built, you know, from a crime and a value perspective. Understanding the fit and the size. I think understanding that a duplex can't be here now, just on that. Kind of talks about what will most likely be there, which in this case would be a single family. Just based on the size and those parameters. So those were the questions and kind of the comments in regards to from the public.
I think the answer to the why question is because it's extremely confusing based on this specific situation.
I would agree, and I think the D part of it is really what caused the confusion, but also understanding the fact that it's downgraded from what it is today. And the size of the lot that creates the confusion around this duplex notation, which is the way that it had to be sent out, but also understand that it lessens, right? I mean, there was definitely some confusion and took us a time or two to get through some of that. So that's what I took from the public comments. Did I miss any, or do you guys have anything else in regards to those? Are there any other questions or comments from staff or the commissioners before we consider this rezone?
Just make sure I understand, which I believe I do. The reason they're not asking for single family is because of the non-conformity on our zoning, compatible zoning code, so to speak.
Correct. And
Then
I'm good, I'm good.
Just stop. Then somebody yes is out here turned to no.
Yeah.
That's not compatible with what's next to it.
any other questions or comments? If there are not, then I would entertain a motion for the rezone 22-31. HSK Homes rezone from R3 multifamily to R3D.
I'll make a motion to approve rezone 2231 HSK Homes rezone from R3 multifamily to R3D.
Greg, I'll second.
Motion and a second. Kayla, if you'll do a roll call for me, please.
Tony Davis. John Sessoms,
Yes.
Craig Langford,
Yes.
Brandon Swoboda,
Yes.
Joey Engel,
Yes.
Ben Lewis. Jeff Safar.
Yes. Thank you, Phil. All right. Next on the agenda this evening is subdivision 2218 Featherston Village. Phase 2, final plat. This is on Womack Road, 194 lots, 20.32 acres, and it is zoned R3 single family. The applicant is Roth Family Incorporated.
We've got an easy one here.
Thank you.
Come on, Jeff.
Thank you.
Come on, Jeff.
I'm betting on it. Roth.
Brought him up then.
Controversy.
Oh, boy.
Anything we need to know about? We're all good on all the checklists.
Not for the most part. We've got,
You said it was easy.
I have it handled.
we got, as you asked, the electric is, I think, the problem everywhere, but on the original design that, Carol did and Black and another company that they consult with that helps them design. I'll say Godfrey and Black is a brick company, but that's just what I got stuck on my head as a home builder. But it ain't them, but they ran into some design problems on this. Jeff caught it. So Jeff, so they had to redesign
half a dozen spots or so. We got that all resolved today. They are digging in the conduit starting, well, we can't tomorrow because we know we're gonna get rain tomorrow. So Thursday morning, they're gonna be out there getting this conduit in the ground. Carol's ready to go. They've got equipment already on the ground out there. We just have been waiting for this final okay from Carol and from the second party to say it's okay to do what they're gonna do. So we got all that today, and we will have all of this conduit in the ground within 2 to 3 weeks. Other than that, everything is the way it's supposed to be. We got the lift station up and operating. That part everybody's happy with. I mean, the subdivision, 9-day difference from the first one, the first phase to this phase. It's just so much nicer. We didn't have near as many stumbling blocks as we had last time. Plus, we learned a lot, but that's really our only thing that we're lacking right now, is just getting the conduit in the ground for Carol. So, and that was of their own mistake, not ours. We'd already had it done, but fortunately, you know, Jeff caught a couple things. We had to go back last time and redo 3 or 4 lots because the utilities interfered with Carol's design. So we didn't want to make that mistake again. And so we knew what to look for and caught it, had to redesign it. Now we got it all handled. So we just, you know, I ask you guys to accept the subdivision. We'll have it ready for council, or to be ready to final at that point. But other than that, I believe we got everything all taken care of.
Diane?
Yes, as y'all stated, it is 194 buildable lots and 8 non-buildable lots. The right of way for Kimmel Road was obviously completed with phase 1. This is phase 2 of Featherston and Womack Road. And Jeff, if you ever do all these different little segments for a plat without an overall, I'm gonna poke you in the nose. I had to put all this together.
You're talking about a to a different.
All of Womack Road has been constructed from Kimmel Road to their property line. Per the phase 1 final plat and phase 2 final plats. With this, they are just indicating 30 feet, which is the only part that is technically on their property. The Roths do own the property to the west. That will be Featherston West. So the other half will officially be dedicated with the other plats.
Did you ask them about that? I had a concern about this because this is a public road and you're only dedicating half of the public road. So are we gonna maintain only half of it? Or I thought the other part was gonna be by separate document. I mean,
We can do it by separate document if you want to see them. I mean, we're turning in Featherston West Monday, so.
Is the whole road
Go in.
constructed?
Yes.
It needs to come with
I thought it was already done in phase 1.
No.
It's already been dedicated.
I thought it was done when you did.
Because it was all built with phase 1. I think we dedicated all. But
I think we asked for it to be built in phase 1, but the dedication wasn't all done in phase 1.
Well, and the other benefit to the developer is it's done, your bond started, it's off your books, you know, in a year. Whereas if you drag it on to the next one, it's gonna hang on a little longer and probably get beat up. Hopefully not by your own construction traffic, but probably.
if it wasn't dedicated with the first one, we'll do a separate document.
It was the same as this. It showed 30 feet for the plat for phase 1 and phase 2, and with the side split that was done. Property to the west, it's dedicated on Kimmel Road, but not anything for Womack.
See, and I thought it was going to be done with that.
I was thinking the track split dedicated 30 feet, but now y'all want 40.
No, it didn't dedicate anything along that.
I'll look at it. That's it's not a big.
I looked at it when we came across this conundrum.
I think the only other thing it would change are the bond amounts, right?
The whole road is still in the bond amounts from what I understand.
It's bonded the first time,
In the first phase.
so then,
So it doesn't-
but yeah,
Because this one, going back,
Easy button.
there you go, even less taxes on it for you now.
going back to this report, they do have street bonds. There are none because they were all completed with the phase 1. And all all the interior streets are private, so there's no street bond. Storm is 173,734. Of course, that's for the 2 years at 100%. And water sewer, the 50% for a year is $320,155, and those have all been approved by staff. There has been a reinspection, so some tweaks have been completed since y'all's reports that got printed this morning. There was a reinspection on the 13th by Public Works, Engineering, and Water Sewer. And all of the items have been completed. Water Sewer does want all of the utilities to be completed before it's approved by City Council, but of course, there are still a couple weeks after this planning commission before the City Council meeting to be able to get all those
Are you referencing electric?
electric things,
That was the water sewer comment that electric needs to be done?
because they have franchise utilities also.
Right. Y'all stipulate that the franchise utilities have to be in before final plat?
Is it all utilities or?
They can, because there's no easements.
Not typically, because some of them weren't platted first.
You have to have an easement to go in on.
I don't know if he was, I mean, they do have power to the third.
Maybe he was referencing just the water and sewer utilities.
What this is referencing in, whenever Carroll Electric came in, they didn't pay attention. And you gotta be 36 inches from my hydrants. They didn't build their boxes 36 inches from the hydrants. So Carroll had to come in and move. And that's what this is referencing in with water and sewer and need to. Because you gotta be 36 inches away.
You're preaching to the choir here.
Oh, I know.
You're preaching to the choir.
That's
But
it.
the only concern I have about that is, in this case, I don't think it's too big of an issue, but if that were to happen on a different project and it got drug out, well, really now the developer is held hostage by Carroll. When everything that they've done is correct and there's a franchise utility agreement between the city of Centerton and all the franchise utilities that they should respect and go where they're supposed to, but I completely understand where you're coming from.
And now Malcolm requires to get a final sign off from utilities, they have to provide Carroll's layout in case there's any issues, so that way we could do it on the paper side as opposed to moving stuff once it's constructed.
That's a good idea. Get them on the as-built.
So, Jeff, we learned a lot with this project.
We all have. The covenants for the entire subdivision were approved with phase 1. Again, the adjacent street, all the adjacent streets have been completed with phase 1 and 2. And we went out there and it said their site looks good, final plat, all the comments have been addressed. And same thing for record drawings and the drainage report have all been approved by staff with no comments hanging out there. The only comment is the whole Carroll Electric fiasco. Other than that, staff will state that it is in conformance with city code.
Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners? If there's not, then I would entertain a motion for subdivision 2218 Featherston Village, phase 2 final plat. Again, it's 194 lots, zoned R3 single family.
Tony, I'll make a motion to approve subdivision 22-18 Featherston Village Phase 2 final plat.
Second. Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, under announcements, we do have our planned work session with the city council and the planning department next week on the 24th at 6.
Where's that at?
It's going to be here.
Right here.
And we're working on an agenda. It's definitely work in progress. Tim Conklin's going to be here from regional planning, so I think he'll be a great resource and he'll kind of help keep us on track, and he's going to share some planning thoughts as well. So that'll be at 6. Our next planning commission meeting after that is on 2/7. And the next council meeting is on 2/14.
And if I might mention here, the next tech review meeting, didn't catch it until everything was printed. I thought I changed it on this one. This should be the 26th, not the 23rd. 23rd is a Monday. So it's Thursday, February 26th.
We have one in January.
No. That one is correct then. I was thinking January. Yes, it should be January 26th, 2023.
That's what I thought we were talking about this way. So that.
And I thought I had it all fixed, but apparently it's still requested my correction.
Anything else from staff?
I do just want to give the planning commission an update on, on their meeting, like Tuesday. There were 2 appeals on, rezones that were denied by the planning commission. And so they appealed them to the council. That was the Weeks rezone on Bush Road where they they requested A1 to R3. The council upheld the planning commission decision and denied, well, they
Upheld the.
didn't even bring it to a vote.
It's R3 duplex.
R3 duplex.
Okay.
Did I say R3D?
You may have in my brain
Okay, R3.
checked out for a second.
Also OptiChain, that's the one on Bliss Street that requested going from residential townhome duplex to R3 multifamily. Appeal also failed to have a motion, so your decision was upheld. Skylight Homes on Greenhouse Road, A1 to C2, that's the conditional use that we just saw, that was approved by the council. Come and Go, going from R2 to C3, it was denied by the council. And the only other thing I have to remind those that don't have your statement of financial interest to get those in as soon as you can.
Brian, any outstanding litigation on the coming?
Okay, I had a question on that, if you don't mind. Joy. Was that the rezone or the conditional use or
The reason.
the rezone? So
Yeah.
But our master plan shows,
Yes.
big commercial.
It's my understanding that he's obtained counsel, so it's probably ensuing. One thing I want to note, and I'll try to tell the council the same thing, although I will probably much more. I am aware of a decent amount of communication on the social media and whatnot between it. Understand, and I don't think it rose to the level, but kind of dangerously close to maybe a violation of the open meeting doctrine. We're start talking about matters. It appeared that for the most part, we were talking with constituents rather than amongst each other, but just be cognizant of that. And I appreciate you guys understand that much more than I think the council will.
So quick question, so the denial of, like, that question there, the denial of the rezoning, does that then automatically deny the conditional use?
yes, well, the rezone itself, correct me if I'm wrong. If you deny the rezone, you deny everything in that.
Okay.
So all C3 uses, conditional, permitted, anything.
Anything
So,
contingent upon that?
anything contingent upon that rezone. If you deny the conditional use, you're just saying not the gas station, but you can do something else. So that's a difference from my perspective.
So that
So that
property cannot come back before for a year for rezone?
That's commercial
Correct.
As
that one,
C3,
commercial. Yeah.
or any kind of commercial.
any commercial, I thought it was just
They
C3.
have to come back highway.
You can have a truck stop.
That was
Yeah.
the only thing less intense is residential.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
doesn't conform with the master use plan.
Right now,
And-
R2.
And they just approved a PUD to the east that allowed commercial.
North to the north.
North.
Or to the north.
Yeah. The one with the gas station shown?
For that being commercial.
Correct.
Just look at the PUD, they look at commercial and that was or for the neighborhood commercial.
Well, I mean, it's on them.
Anything else? If not, I will see you guys next week. I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
We'll move.
Second. Anyone opposed? Thank you.
I have.
I heard you.
They don't have it. Take away.